Welcome to the Mange Party Podcast. What up, motherfuckers? Mange Party tonight, Mange Party tonight, Mange Party tonight, Mange Party tonight. What's up, everybody? This is episode 6 of the Mange Party Podcast, episode 6, and we have our first official guest on the podcast. It's Bobby Meeker, ladies and gentlemen. What up, Bobby?
We give up Bobby Meeker.
What's going on?
So yeah, this is episode 6. I can't believe we're doing episode 6.
I know.
It's kind of crazy, right? No, but yeah, we're happy to have a guest on finally. It's something we, have always talked about doing, and glad to finally get a guest on. We actually guested on your podcast. One of the first times I got to meet you is when we guested on your podcast, actually.
Yeah, I don't remember what episode that was.
That's okay. It's fine. But yeah, we're very happy to have you here. How's everything going, man?
Good. It's been hanging out with Carson.
I have seen you a lot. Yeah, all day today.
That's good. I love hanging out with Carson myself. So I guess we'll just start it off with our beer review. Carson, tell us what
we went a little different route today because our guest likes different beers than we typically do. We're usually more the IPA kind of guys, and this time went with the stout. So we got the Kalamazoo Stout from Bell's Brewing.
Ooh.
I believe it's in Michigan. I know I had the bottle somewhere, but I think that's right here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Michigan.
I think that's what you said.
Kalamazoo. That's like the old Glenn Miller song. I got a gal in Kalamazoo.
Yes.
Yeah, classic.
There's also a Primus song, Kalamazoo. That's a good one too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, Bell's Brewing in Comstock, Michigan.
Comstock IP. Oh.
But yeah, I mean, I'm usually not big on stouts. I usually don't order them,
bad.
but I think it's good. Yeah, maybe I've grown into them. I didn't notice.
So
I don't order them too often at bars and stuff.
I started on dark beers when I started drinking beer. When I started drinking alcohol, I didn't like beer at all.
Same here.
And it wasn't until I was like, I don't know, mid-20s or like 23, 24 maybe before I started drinking beer. But like, I think Guinness is one of the first beers I actually liked.
Yeah.
So like one of my first beers, was a I guess you could call it a stout. It's definitely a stout, I guess, Guinness. But this I thought this was going to be thicker than it was. It's not bad at all. It's actually very nice consistency.
Yeah, Guinness is one of those things. It's always a little like creamy. I always feel like it's kind of. I
like
don't know.
that,
It's almost airy
it's
too.
Heavy.
Yeah, it is heavy. Yeah.
Like
it definitely is more heavy
full
beer
off
for
it.
sure. But it's like that's really where it depends on how you're having it. If you're having it in those like rocket widget bottles or you're doing a draft,
Yeah.
like they do pretty well with the widget. I think like it's like because you know what that is, right?
You talking about the can with the little?
No, yeah, it's in the bottle too.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
They called it the rocket widget when it came out. I don't know why, because like when you look at it, it looks kind of like looks more like a plane than a rocket because it's got two wings.
Okay.
And so it keeps it like all like moving and not stationary.
Yeah.
But I thought it's pretty good in the bottle. I haven't had it in the bottle in a while. The last bunch of times I had it was on draft.
Yeah.
But do you have to have it on nitro? Like when you have
Nitro is good. Have you tried a bunch of nitro stouts at all, Bobby? Or
No, I haven't.
no?
Yeah,
I don't really drink that
difference.
much, so usually like we were saying in the bar, or not the bar, the liquor store.
Liquor store.
I usually just if it's hot outside, I'll go Blue Moon. If it's cold outside, I'll go Yingling Black and Tan.
Oh, that's
the black and tans are good.
The Yingling Black and Tan is great. You want to try something really good? Make a black and tan float. Put some vanilla ice cream in there.
Ooh.
Dude, it's awesome. You wouldn't think it would be a thing. It is. It tastes really good.
I'll have to keep that in mind
Yeah,
next time.
it's really good. Give it a try. My best friend's mom turned me on to that. She was like, yeah, try this. And at first I was like, you putting beer and ice cream together? That sounds fucked up.
I mean, I do that every night after I finish drinking. I eat ice cream.
You're eating and you're drinking, but like it's like it really actually is very pleasant. It's very nice.
It sounds like something that would like not sit in your stomach.
It's fine. Like it's very. It's like a root beer float. Like it's because like the sweetness of the ice cream really mixes with the nice flavor profile of the black and tan, and it really works really well.
I've done root beer floats with Kraken.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Kraken and Barks root beer, dude. Let's go with the Barks root beer. Put the Kraken with.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What root beer you like with your Kraken?
I was Barks.
I think just like the A&W.
A&W.
Like
A&W 's
whatever.
alright.
Like
I was a Barks guy too.
Barks and Kraken. I'm not allowed to drink that anymore. It's been like 5 or 6 years. I really haven't.
Bad
had one.
things happen.
Oh yeah, I'm not allowed to drink Kraken rum.
Everybody's got that thing,
Yeah.
man. That's the weird thing about alcohol. It's like everybody has their one thing that gets them in trouble. But I like this.
I do enjoy this beer. And you haven't had this before, right, Bobby? First time. Yeah.
No, not at all.
Is there a reason why you prefer like darker beers? Like flavor profile wise, or
I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I don't like beer.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like when I don't like something, it's supposed to... It has to taste like what I expect it to be.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Sure.
So like I usually lean towards like dark coffee because I'm not like a big coffee drinker.
Right, I don't like coffee.
So like for some reason I go just straight towards like the darkest coffee there is.
Right.
So it's kind of the same thing with like beer. Like I don't really like beer, so I want it to taste like beer, and I feel like dark beer tastes like how I guess I would like imagine beer to taste.
Okay.
It's kind of like I want to suffer while I drink this thing that I don't like.
These stouts do have like a coffee kind of profile to a
It
lot
does.
of them. You know.
A lot of them do. Like the darker ones anyway. Yeah, it just definitely has a very coffee finish to it for sure.
Yeah.
It's not intense though. Because that's the thing about me. It's like I don't like coffee. I don't drink coffee, but I don't have a problem with the taste of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just the effects of it. I don't really like. It's too acidic, and it's I'm a tea guy.
Yeah.
I drink tea all the time.
I like stouts though sometimes for like a dessert beer, like after a meal, and you're like,
Yeah.
I kind of want something for dessert, but I don't want something sweet really. And it's like nice again, like nice like coffee stout, or like I know they have like those chocolate peanut butter stouts
Those
they
are
have,
intense,
yeah.
The
But I
Sweet
like
Baby Jesus. You ever
the
have
Sweet Baby
those?
Jesus, yeah.
It's a thick.
Those are really thick.
I can't. I couldn't have more than one.
Those should come in like the nice small glass for a dessert.
Yeah, like that's a good. Yeah, those are intense, man. Like I didn't think it was gonna be that thick. I had one. And I was like, I can't believe people drink more than one of these.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is intense. Like usually, beers don't really do that with me. Like I said, it's like I could drink Guinness, no problem.
Yeah.
But like that was like, I was like, that's more than enough. I was like, I can't believe. Like one of my friends was like, oh yeah, I drink a bunch of those in a row. I was like, are you fucking nuts? I'm like, that's insane.
They're heavy. They're also high in alcohol too.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, where Guinness is not. Guinness is really low. It's like 4%.
Yeah,
it's
4
like really
to change,
low.
I think.
Yeah, it's like drinking a light beer.
Yeah,
which
it's
is a light beer with a heavy.
Yeah,
It's like a real heavy. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, 4 to 5. It's not over 5. I don't even think it's 5. It's like 4.5 maybe or something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely on the lower end.
But yeah, no, this is not bad.
Yeah, this is like 7%. I think it's on the bottom. That's not too bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's up there where our IPAs that
Okay.
we usually try out are. Let's see here.
Yeah, it's actually pretty.
Oh,
decent.
6%. Sorry, 6%.
Okay,
But that's a little higher than nice normal beer.
that's a good range.
Yeah.
I like that. I like it. I like the at least a 5. If
Yeah.
I'm having something, it's got to be at least a 5. I can't do these like 3.5 fucking nonsense.
Michelob Ultras, dude.
Yeah, like most standard beers are like 3.5. It's like,
Yeah, they probably 5.4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those light beers, you really
Yeah.
those light ones.
that's why I like the seltzers. They're all 5 across the board
Yeah.
at least. But that's why Kate May's coming out with a new one too soon. I was looking on their Instagram today.
Don't do what it was.
It was it's a new IPA. It's like something in drop. Like it's like a fishing theme. It's got a hook. It's like drag and drop or something like that. Or it's not drag. That's more computer talk. But it's like I don't know. But it's that's gonna be their new thing. They've been promoting it a lot. It looks pretty good though. I'm gonna have to find that when it comes
Let's
out.
see. Try to do a quick little search for it.
So you're not a big beer guy. Like you're not. So you were saying you're not even a big alcohol guy then.
Not really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, in terms of like, I enjoy beer, but not like if I like as a drug, I'm not. It's not my favorite. I'm a pot guy all the way.
In recent years, I've noticed that if I have like, even if it's just like a beer or two, sometimes I'll feel like my heart races a little bit.
Yeah.
So I actually kind of started like avoiding alcohol a little bit more. Just because, I don't know, that feeling of like your heart racing is so unpleasant. I'm like, it's one of those things I feel like I have to stop drinking to make it go away.
Yeah.
or you have to keep drinking to like get past that point.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of people say that about pot. Like they'll get worked up like that with when they're getting high. What's it called?
It's called Cape May Snag and Drop. It's a triple IPA, 10%.
Yeah, see, that's why I saw that. I was like,
Yeah.
that's going to be tasty.
It looks like this picture looks like it's in the tall can, so 16 ounces it looks like here.
Yeah, that's going to be good, dude.
Well, we'll try that as soon as it hits the stores.
Yeah.
We're always repping that Cape May.
I'll have to be a repeating guest and suffer through an IPA.
Oh,
you'll have...
we should give him a shandy. See, you would really like that.
I feel like if I keep trying IPAs, eventually I might like them.
You might like
possible.
the juicy ones. You like the juicier ones, not the super bitter ones like the New England style, the hazy ones. You like them better. They're more just juicy.
Yeah.
The triple, this is going to be something strong. Imperial IPAs are really like
really heavy.
just strong and bitter and like I like those, but the juicy ones I like better. New England style.
The juicy ones you can just keep tossing back.
Yeah.
Like it's like remember the one I brought back in the growler was like that. I can't remember what the hell it was called right now. Check out episode 4 or whatever. It's on there. But,
listen to all the episodes while you're at it. If you're going to backtrack.
But you get a nice juicy IPA you can really kind of handle because it's got like that one had like OJ kind of overtones to it. It's like and it was really nice.
Yeah.
It was very refreshing. Like some heavy IPAs, they can get intense. Like it's like you're working hard drinking it. But this stuff, like you could when you get a nice juicy one, you can get a really refreshing. It was really good. It was really good actually. It's interesting. It's been a while since I talked to somebody who was saying that the alcohol made their heart race. It's interesting. A lot of people, like for example, drink to get unnervous to kind of like. Level out. I find that like a tiny bit of alcohol to kind of ease the nerves, be a little more. Like in a show. Like I like to have a drink when I'm performing. Just one or two, to kind of ease in. Yeah. But it's like for me, if I want to get intoxicated, I'm gonna get intoxicated on THC, not alcohol. Mm-hmm. Like
Smoke a Humboldt, dude. You good to go.
Oh, we're gonna get there. Don't worry. Yeah, there's actually a lot to talk about, which strangely enough. But I guess I'll just start with Bobby because since you're our first guest, it's like Mr. Bobby Meeker is a comedian.
If you could call me that.
I do call you
more
that.
More of an ex-comedian.
An ex-comedian. Explain.
I mean, I was doing it fairly consistently for, I don't know, like a year or two.
Yeah, it was probably like a year and a half, I'd say, because I went to a lot of them in the city and
I did
around Jersey.
Bunch of stuff in the city, and just it's a grind. Like it's something that you have to. I'm sure it's just like music. Like you just have to keep doing it. You have to keep doing it for free.
Yep.
Putting yourself out there and just like hope that something clicks, and I was doing well. Like I never thought like I had shows like situations that I didn't do well.
Sure.
But like overall, like I thought like I had the potential to like keep going, and I just had a couple like frustrating moments, and I just stepped back because I had like some life-changing decisions to make as far as like career and stuff like that. And then I said I would go back, and I just didn't. And once in a while, I'll do something here and there. And like when I do go back and do it, it's always like a successful night. Like I did it maybe the last time I did it was in October, not this past October, but a year prior to that. And somebody who saw that had not seen me perform for a long time, and he said the jump in like confidence on stage and just like everything was like huge.
Interesting.
Even though I had not done it that consistently, and even like another comic who had, he's not famous, but like he's older, so I'm assuming he's been doing it for a little bit. He was talking to me after one of my sets, and he was doing like an interview for I guess like a New Jersey comic scene thing. Video that he was making, and I just mentioned that I was doing like all new material and stuff like that, And he was like, oh, well, what jokes were new? And I was like, the whole set was new. And I remember him just being like, kind of like taken back that I went up with all new material in front of like a crowd that paid to be there.
Right.
Never tested the material like prior to that, and just like did probably better than most of the other comics who had like their stuff tested.
That makes sense to me in a weird way, because I've with music it's sometimes like that too. I find the more, or like the less I give a shit in terms of like not about the craft, but just about how I'm feeling. Just being like, oh, whatever, I'm just going to go do this because I want to go do it. And it's like, okay, you're not thinking too much. You do the preparation, obviously, but it's like you just don't think too much about, like, on the day. You know, like, you know what I mean? You're just like, okay, I'm going to go do this set, and you just get in that zone where it's like, this is what I'm doing, and you're not thinking like, oh, man, is this going to work? Is this going to work? You just go and fucking do it, and then you just have a really good night. Or it's like, I find, too, when I'm overthinking things, that's when I'm going to get slipped up.
Yeah.
It's like, it's going to be like, if I was like, oh, fuck, because, like, I'm sure you know how this is. It's like, you can put yourself in a hole like that. Where it's like, if you're thinking too much about the one thing, you're like, oh, yeah, I just bombed this one part. Yeah. And then you start this cycle where you start, like, tripping yourself out too much. You're just like, oh, and it gets progressively worse and worse and worse. And you have to, like, power through it and just be like, oh, it's going to finish this now. Get it over with. And then, like, you could come off stage. Because that's the thing about being in a band. It's like, and we've had shows where it's like, I was like, okay, that was good. And then you're just like, yo, that was fucking horrible. And then it's like, or it's been the reverse, where it's like, oh, that was really good. I was like, oh, that's fucking horrible. And then, like, I go and watch a video of the time. I was like, oh, that really wasn't horrible. Yeah. I was just overthinking everything. And then it's like, it's like, oh, fuck, I fucked up this one little bit right here. I don't think anyone probably heard that.
No, most people won't.
Right. It's like, but it's like, I know it's there, and then, like, I get annoyed about that, and then I'll get annoyed about something 10 minutes later. There's compounds the annoyance, and it's like, oh, this is a fucking bad night. And it's like, actually, you're just tripping out about things that probably nobody even noticed. It's weird how that works.
It's weird I don't know if it happens, I mean, it sounds like it happens to you, but it happens to me a lot too, where it's like almost I feel like my brain when I'm on stage is separated into two different, like, voices almost. Where, like, because, like, when you're drumming, so, like, you're physically not talking, like, you're doing emotion, so it's like easy for you to have, like, inner dialogue, like, oh, I just messed up that fill or whatever. But, like, when you're talking and I'm talking and I'm saying all the words and I'm making all the jokes, but I'm also, like, almost talking to myself at the same time.
Right, it's like, remember to do this.
Like, specifically when I was doing the Dr. Seuss ripoff poem.
Oh, I love the poem, dude. The poem's great.
I did it on a whim because I did my set, which I had timed out for, like, 6 or 7 minutes, but I had forgotten a small piece of it, and I didn't realize I skipped over, like, a small little, like, extra punchline, so I cut my set short down to, like, a 5-minute set, and I was the last comic to go up.
Okay.
So I said, like, that's it, thank you guys, good night, and the club, like, I don't know if he's the owner, Gene.
I don't know who he is.
The guy that books me at the show, he was like, no, keep going. And that's when I realized I was closing out the show.
Right, you're
like,
oh,
they didn't have, like,
somebody else coming
a special guest coming up.
Right.
Like, I was the closing act.
Right.
And
so you were headlining, essentially, in a way.
Unofficially, yeah.
Exactly.
So he wanted me to stay up there and do more material. And I didn't prep for it. Was one of those situations where I hadn't done stand-up in months.
Right.
I had new material. I went up, did the new material. That was all of the material I was going to do and planned to do. And I was forced into a situation where I had to start pulling old jokes, like, out of my ass. So I did a couple of jokes, and then I started telling a poem that's like a knockoff of Sam I Am.
Right.
But I hadn't recited that poem for a year maybe.
Right.
So like as I'm talking about it, I have this like inner dialogue of like, don't fuck up, like this is your next line, like, and it's just like a really weird like back and forth you're having with yourself. Like you're up on stage saying the words, but like mentally you're just in like another world.
Trust me, I know all about that, man. It's like, yeah, because like you were saying, a lot of times I'm singing and drumming at the same time too. So it's like it's even weirder. But it's like, yeah, I find it happens to me a lot where I'll just like. I've been doing a lot more now. It's like I like to just go, like I always pretend like no one's there. It's like because like it's different for comedy because you have to be engaged with the audience. That's why I respect comedians, because it's like you can't really do comedy without an audience effectively.
Yeah, you
know what I mean?
You
It's
can,
like,
but it's not going to be the same.
yeah, because you're so much, I think, is what you're feeding off of what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And like they feed back to you. It's like a feedback loop where it's like it could go really good or it could go really bad. You know, I hear, you know, Joe Rogan and all these other comedians talk about it. It's like, oh yeah, I bombed the other night. It's like, but they talk about like that's an important part of learning for them.
Yeah.
Where it's like consistently, like they'll have, like maybe not consistently, but they talk regularly about times when they bomb. It's like musicians don't have it like that. They will have bad nights. Yeah. But it's like, to me, it's like, it's almost like bombing is a part of being a comedian almost in a weird fucking strange way.
Yeah, well, because you learn what to do differently from those experiences. Like, I've learned, I wouldn't say I've bombed on a lot of occasions. I've had nights where I was like, well, that didn't really go as well as I thought it would. But there was one time specifically when I was in New York City. It always happens at, I'm not going to say where, but it always happens at the same place. Carson was with me on one of the times. He made me feel a lot better, and we just left. But prior to that, I had just started. It was one of the first open mics I had done. And at the time, the only real material I had was a story about a guy that I knew that got caught jerking off with his girlfriend's dildo in his ass. Whether or not that story is true, I have no idea. But it's a fun topic of conversation. Sure, yeah. And I was just starting out, so that was the material that I had. And it was like a 5-minute set of me talking about it, breaking down different thoughts that I had about the situation. And I was in New York City, and I was telling the story. And I remember having that inner dialogue, which threw me off of what my story was. Right. Because I realized that the room, we were in like a basement in a bar in New York City, and the place was packed, and it was a very small place. And the stage was like the size of this table. Yeah, it was so barely small enough to stand, like big enough to stand on. Oh, wow. And there's people like in front of you. Like I could just reach out and take their like drink out of their hand. So like the lights usually are bright enough that you can't see people. Right? Yeah. But people are sitting on stage with me essentially. Wow. So I just remember having this this dialogue of like, oh wow, these people can like, they're like right here. Yeah. And then all of a sudden that was like enough to throw me off of my story. And I'm standing there and like I just didn't know what to do. So I just out loud said like, I don't remember the rest of my story. And there was a guy in the background that really wanted to know how the story ended. So this guy is just screaming pink dildo at me. And it was funny and I appreciated it. And it was like enough of a chuckle to like get me back, but like I skipped like the chunk that I had forgotten, and I just kind of went back to the part that I remembered and finished and like got off. But then like what I took away from that is like I realized that I wasn't doing comedy. I was going up on stage and I had memorized word for word what I was gonna say. And I was just reciting from memory, word for word, what I was going to say. And that inner dialogue made me skip the parts that I was supposed to memorize. Right. So then, like, I started trying to not memorize as much and, like, just find confidence in the fact that you know the material. Right. And then that's when, like, the interactions with the crowd and stuff like that could come in a little bit more natural. I didn't start getting that until I kind of fell off of doing it. Sure. But it was the interactions with the crowd was something I started becoming more conscious of. Yeah. And I think that's where, like, it's sad to say, but like at the end of me doing comedy was when I would consider I was actually doing it. Like up until that point of like all the shows that everybody went to, like I didn't consider myself a comic. I just considered myself somebody who went up and recited what I had written down. I was like almost more of a writer than I was an actual comic. Because you go online and you see these guys like Andrew Schultz, who just goes up on stage with no material and just rips on the crowd for like an hour. And like it's just such an art form. Like to me, that is comedy because he's not reciting anything. Like he's interacting with the crowd. I know it's a whole different thing.
Sure, but it's definitely all in the moment.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not something that he prepared.
Yeah, exactly. And like I know there are comics that also do everything like recited, but I think there's a balance. If you're doing all of just reciting stuff, you have to look at the other side a little bit more.
Now, do you do any kind of like with your preparation? Are you at home doing the routine? Like what's your preparation?
Like a crazy person.
Okay.
Stare in the mirror.
Well, you ever see The King of Comedy? The movie The King of Comedy? Robert De Niro?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you gotta watch that, man. Okay, so a lot of people... So did you see Joker?
Yes,
okay.
I just recently saw it.
So, Joker, there's a lot of parts of Joker that are... it's not like a remake or anything, but they're riffing on The King of Comedy. So The King of Comedy is a movie. It was made in the mid to late 70s. Martin Scorsese.
Okay.
And the idea is that Robert De Niro plays this really eccentric guy named Rupert Pupkin, and he wants to be a comic. And he's like practicing, and he lives at home with his mother. He's practicing at home, and his dreams to go on this show that's basically kind of like Johnny Carson.
Okay.
But it's not Johnny Carson, and it's crap, I'm really blanking on this. The famous comedian, the guy who is really into physical... Jerry Lewis.
Okay.
Sorry. So Jerry Lewis is basically Johnny Carson in this movie. And he gets so obsessed with him that him and this other woman kidnap him. And his whole thing is, I want to do my routine on your show.
Okay.
And so it's like, so they kidnap him, and eventually they make a deal with him and the police if he lets him go, he'll be able to go on to the show and do his routine. So it's like a dark comedy. Yeah. But it's like this whole thing, it's really, really fascinating. If you're into comedy or anything like that, it's a really great film. But like it's really good, but you really get to see like the insight of someone. Like he's always like that's why like in Joker's kind of like Rupert Pupkin. And it's funny, that's why De Niro's playing the inverse role. He's playing the show host. He's Murray Franklin.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like, it's almost inverse, where it's like, you know, Joker wants to be a comedian, and he's going up and he's bombing, he's doing, it's kind of the same thing. Like Rupert Pupkin is like...
For me, that scene where he goes up and does stand
right,
up
when he
and
does
bombs, that hurt. Like, that hurt my soul, because I know how that feels like to go up there and just like...
That scene made everyone feel uncomfortable. I'm watching, I'm like, man, I feel so bad for him right now.
Yeah,
it's like tearing me up inside.
Yeah, it's that kind of a movie. I mean, it's very effective in many different kind of ways. But like, it really reminded me of The King of Comedy, and it's like, that's why when I think about it, I always wonder if if you're doing like the whole routine.
Yeah,
interesting.
I would do, especially when I was memorizing it. What I would do is in the beginning, I would write out word for word what I wanted to say, and I would go over that a couple times, and then I wanted to get comfortable with the idea that I knew it without reading it, so like I would recite it I would record it once in a while, and then listen to it and read to make sure I had it like word for word correctly. Okay. I would do, leading up to like the performance, I would recite it, like I would think while I took a shower, I would go over it like 3 times. I just like obsessed over it, because a lot of times they'll give you 5 minutes, like you get 5 minutes on stage. Yeah. So like I wanted to make sure my material was those 5 minutes. Like I didn't want to cut myself short. I didn't want to go over, like, so I just was like almost obsessive with like going over it, making sure everything was perfect. And even still, like, I was, for Shiz's debacle of a performance at the Clifton Bar
Oh, Dingbats?
At Dingbats.
We didn't go to that one. I told you, Jordan.
The reunion show?
The reunion.
Oh, God.
So
I don't believe that.
they were having an issue. I think one of their opening bands like couldn't do it at the last second or something. There was some issue where they weren't.
Yeah, they tried to get us
sure.
to play that show.
And then they asked me by myself because you were busy. I'm like, I don't really want to play. I'm like, I don't really feel like playing.
So I was just trying to be nice, and I offered to do stand up. I was like,
really?
I can do 10 minutes, like easy.
I offered to play guitar too, and then I went back on my own word. I never do that. I'm like, nah. I'm not doing Dingbats for traveling mugs right now.
So I went home, like I put the offer out there. They weren't sure if they would need it, so I was like, well, let me just like prep something. So I went through my notebook, I found a bunch of stuff, and I just I stood in my living room and I just went over. Like I would stand there. In my head, I would pretend I was standing in front of a crowd, and then I would just recite the jokes, and I would put a timer on my phone. And I would just move around. I would act exactly like how if I was on stage, and then I would just see what the time looked like. And I just would always do stuff like that, just to like get the repetition.
Yeah, I figured it would be like that. Yeah, just because, like I said, especially when you're working at time constraints like that, like it has to be on. Like it's just got to be. Yeah, especially like I said, it's like with music. We have if we're playing an open mic, we'll have 3 songs, right?
Yeah, usually two to three. You don't get too much time,
but it's like I think the minimum is 15 minutes. 20 minutes usually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like, and we have a structure. It's like if you have a song, you know what the structure is. It's like it's a lot less free form.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it's not like with a comedy routine. I'm sure it's just like I said, you got to get everything where it needs to be.
Yep.
And it's got to function in the right way for it to be really effective. It's very interesting. It seems to be, like, to me, I have great respect for comedians because it's something that's very hard to do if to me. Because I've done a little bit of acting, and it's like, it's kind of similar in the sense that you're memorizing things and you have to deliver it. There's a relationship, you have the audience, that's a big part of it. But it's like, the comedy, and I guess you can improvise too, but it's like it seems.
But you have to already be good at
comedy. Exactly. Unless you're doing
improvise,
it, exactly. Yeah. It's like improvising. Everyone thinks it's even with music. I mean, it's like you have to be a certain level to improvise and make it work within the piece that you're doing.
Like if I took your drum kit and did a drum solo in front of everybody, it wouldn't sound the same.
Yeah, but I get, because like I said, I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan, and just like listening to him listening to like a lot of the comedians that he has come on talk about it. Like I said, there's a repartee there between musicians and comedians, but it's like there's a whole level of craft there that like I really respect, because it's like it seems to be a whole different animal. It's like there's certain ways where it's similar, but it's a whole different bag of tricks going on there.
Yeah.
Feels like a lot of. I feel super pressured. It feels like public speaking to me because you're literally just standing there talking and everyone's just looking at you. At least like when I got a guitar in my hand, I can kind of look away and I'm jamming. Everyone's like, oh, he's playing. They start talking to each other. It's like when you're doing comedy, as you said before, you're the centerpiece. It's not like you're at a bar and like say someone doesn't like the song we're playing, they can talk to their buddy, have a beer.
Yeah.
But if you're doing comedy, like that's it. That's all we have. It's the total focal point. Everyone's got to be into it, and if no one's into it, then you're like. Then you lost the audience. Then you have the whole emotion, like I gotta try to get them back. It's hard to get people back when they're not. It's a weird thing. I would never be able to do that.
Yeah, I remember I had one moment. Thinking back, actually, it's funny. This place, another great place that just closed in New York, Sidewalk Cafe. It was a fucking great place. One of the most famous open mics in the whole city for many years. So I played there a few times, and it was cool because they made you go to an open mic. And then if they liked you, you get a gig. And so my old band, we did that, and I remember that place is like, it was very, very, like, only people who were interested was going there. It wasn't like a bar.
Yeah.
This was a music club for people who were interested in hearing music. So there was not a fucking peep in that room.
Yeah.
And like I remember it was halfway through the first song, and I was just like, nobody's saying a word. And it was like, it was the thing they called the blackout night. So there were no lights on. It was only candles in the whole room. And I remember a few times I got nervous in a while because I was just like, wow. It's like, there's nobody saying a word in here.
I would be like nervous. That's like heavy critiquing,
And
That's like me at a show. I'm like, trying to critique it's like 100 of me. I would hate that.
But it was a good experience. I really it really taught me a lot. But like it was like it's like again it's like you're saying, it's like we're used to playing at clubs or bars and stuff where it's like if people don't want to listen, they got stuff to do.
Yeah, they were also done with their song and they might like the next song.
Right, or whatever.
It switches up,
like the
quickly.
whole room was fucking. You could hear a pin drop in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa! I'm like, this is a rarity. Like this, even at real legit shows, that doesn't happen.
No, very rarely.
It's extremely rare. So it was like it was a cool experience, but I learned a lot. But it was like I remember I was just like it was like I didn't think anything of it, and I was like halfway through the first song, I was just realizing it's so quiet in here. It's like whoa.
Yeah.
It was cool though. Sidewalk Cafe, RIP. They were great.
Do you ever know, like, before a show starts, like, oh, this is not gonna go the way that I want it to?
I'll have, not for the whole night. I'll have things that may annoy me, where it's like, oh, something isn't working right, where it's like, oh, my monitor, I don't have a monitor, or my stage mix is shit, or, something will be happening already that'll put it off on a weird note, but then I just have to work through it.
Okay.
I'll never know if something will fuck the whole night. It's more like a gradual thing, like I was saying before, where it's like you'll have these little things that you create for yourself, like, and that things will start compounding.
Okay.
So it'll be like I'll never know before or at the beginning that something's gonna be weird. Mm-hmm. It'll happen like it'll be more at the midway point. Be like, oh man, this is a tough set.
Yeah.
Like it's like this was a tough one to get through.
We get that every once in a while, like first song or two. Like if you just can't hear anything through the monitors at the time, and it's like you're like, is it all right? But you can't hear anything. And I'm like, it's good. I just can't hear anything either. But
yeah, so you just you have these issues that come up, and then you just work through them. Mm-hmm. And either you work through them and you just say whatever, or like I said, it'll start this compounding snowball effect that'll just getting tougher and tougher. So you'll just be like, oh wow, that was a tough set, or it's just like I've never had something be like, okay, this is gonna be a fucking bad night. It's like because I try not to think like that anyway. Yeah. But it's like you'll just have things where it's like, oh well, you just run into challenges. Yeah. It's like, especially playing New York, I was playing on a lot of, as a drummer, you're always playing on the house kit. Okay. So you like going in, you're just like, okay, what's the kit gonna be like? And then you like, I remember this one place we played, it was like, I can't remember what it was called. It was such a weird night. They overbooked it, and like there was like so many bands, and so we all had like 20-minute sets, and it was like ridiculous. And the kit was like a zebra coated like kit, and like it was a Franken kit of like just all these pieces they just threw together, and like, but it was cool because like the way the club was set up was cool, and I was sitting in the window, and it was a weird mishmash of cool and just like completely janky, and like I just remember being like, oh well, you just gotta work with what you got, and it's like when you're playing out all the time, you're just like, you never know if the sound guy's gonna be good, bad, what kind of system you're gonna have. It's like. Yeah, even like a friend of mine, we were playing a gig, a couple weeks ago, and he was just like, I was like, I couldn't hear myself. It was horrible. I was like, no, it really wasn't. I was like, that's why it's like you're your own biggest critic, and in certain ways that's good, but in certain ways it can really throw you off because you could just get so hung up on the shit that isn't working, you can miss the fact that you're actually performing well. It's like that's why like. With Elizabeth and some other people that have been like filming our sets, or like it's such a good thing because I can see it objectively later on. Because like I said, it's like, oh, I thought I had a fucking shit set. And then I go back and watch the video, and I was like, oh, actually, it was.
There
fun.
Was that one night at Clash, we both thought we had a bad set.
That was a hard
we're both like, man, did we sound like shit? And you're like, I think so. I'm like, damn it. And then we listened to it, and we're like, it sounded pretty good on most of the songs. Like, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it's like that's why it's like it really it's really subjective like that. It's like you could think the whole time, like I said, this snowball effect will happen where it's like, oh, you fucked up that one song. You're just like, hey, let's go on the next one. But then like,
you make a little mistake in the next one,
and
you're
like, oh shit, and then it's like, oh,
I
this
do
is
that
a
all
tough
the time.
night, and then it's like you start souring on the whole thing. Yeah. Whereas like most people, they're just having fun and didn't even notice you fucked up.
Yeah.
It's just like. That's why it's like it's good to have a base where you can come back. Like I said, those recordings are really good because I can come back and a couple hours later and just be like, all right, let me press play and hear this. Yeah. And then like especially if you think it was one way, and then you're just like, actually this was okay. And it's weird. It's weird how that works.
I always find the crowd to help me out of situations sometimes too. Like I forget my lyrics sometime, and when I do, I'm just like, and everyone's just like, you're good, I don't care. And everyone's just like, I'm like, oh, they're having a good time. And then I forget about it, and then I do better as the rest of the song goes on. I don't forget. I get in my own head all the time. I always when I start overthinking, it's forgetting lyrics. Always.
Yeah, for me, it's
You
like...
see me, I'm like, oh, I can get this one. I'm like, shit, I got nothing.
Yeah, for the past bunch of years, I've been operating as if there's nobody there at all. And, like, that's where it's like, I just kind of... Because, like, for me, it's like music is a mode of... I used to put this a lot better than I'm going to put it now. But it's like a way... It's a vehicle for transcendence. So for me, I go to another place. Okay. So it's like... most of the time, I have my eyes closed. I'm not looking at them. Yeah. I'm not paying really any attention. If they weren't there, I'm not saying... Again, don't get me wrong. I really appreciate people coming out to see us. But it's like... If you weren't
it's
there,
almost like a stage fright thing. Like I have to ignore these people because I have to.
It's not even that. It's just I get transported somewhere else. Yeah. So it's just like I close my eyes and I go somewhere, and it's like if you're there and enjoying it, it's great. But it's like you didn't have to be there for me to go where I'm going.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and I function better that way. Because, like I said, and like you were saying, most of the time I can't see them anyway.
Yeah.
Because
the lights
are
hopefully so bright that you can't see anything.
But like it's because I never really got stage fright. Like I said, I did a lot of acting when I was a kid, and I was so I've been on stage as a very young kid. So I got even in kindergarten. I went to private school. We were doing all plays and stuff since we were in kindergarten. So I was singing and performing in front of people from kindergarten on, and so it's like. Stage fright was never really an issue for me. It was more just it was like I said, it's more a vehicle for me to just kind of do what I do better if I don't pay attention to them as much. But then there's certain times I want to, where it's like especially with the group of people that come to see Mange Party, I like them because they get so into it.
Yeah.
And like that rubs off on you, and then you're having a better time. So you're like, look at these fucking ridiculous people.
I look at you and both jamming, and they're like dancing.
Yeah,
like,
it's like that's always great,
yeah.
you know. But it's like there's other times too where you can actually, like sometimes the inverse happens, where it's like with my other band with Mythology, we're like a prog rock band. We play this like really complicated, weird music, and we get mismatched with bands all the time. And like it's just like hired for places that don't expect that kind of music or bands that aren't playing that kind of music. I actually like that because like I like going in and like blowing the fuck out of people's minds and then disappearing because they're just like, what the fuck was that? And it's like I like the challenge of being the odd band out with them, where it's like I like that I don't even care if people hate it. It's like I hope they don't hate it, but it doesn't like I don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's like I actually get invigorated by the challenge.
I think you could pull it off in that band a little easier. Like, I don't like playing a mismatched show if I'm playing, like, really heavy metal stuff. I get mismatched because it's like, then you're like, everyone's just looking at you. And I'm waiting for people to start hitting each other. No one's doing anything. I'm like, okay, I'm not having a good time. Then you don't have a good time.
Well, it's funny. With And a Zombie, that would happen a lot. We get paired with a bunch of metal bands, and we were always the odd band out. Because our name sounded was like a horror punk band, And the Zombie. People thought we were like a horror punk band. We weren't. We were like a pop punk meets classic rock band.
Yeah.
And so, like, I remember the bunch of times we got put on these, like, metal festivals. You remember, what the hell was that venue called that was in Butler? Way back in the day. Main Stage.
The Main Stage, yeah.
Yeah, Kitty played there. 9 Inch Nails fucking played there.
A Day to Remember played there.
Yeah.
I saw A Day to... That was...
Oh, wasn't that
That was in Pompton
That
Lakes.
was in Pompton.
Sorry,
Pompton Lakes, yeah.
Yeah, I saw A Day to Remember there.
Did you?
Yeah.
Census Fail played there.
Fucking wild.
Census Fail played there too?
Oh, yeah. They definitely played there, didn't they? Census Fail?
I'm sure they
I never
did.
saw them there, but I'm sure they
Day
I'm
to
pretty
Remember
sure they
played
did.
at Main Stage? Holy shit.
They left. They left.
I would have booed them out of that place, probably.
Yeah, me too.
This was right after their second album came out, so they were still, like, good.
Debatable.
We won't get into that.
I know.
But I didn't really listen to them at the time. I knew like a couple songs, but it's Main Stage, so you just go have a good time.
It's right in the neighborhood.
And the place was pretty busy. It was the most people I've ever seen there.
Okay.
I went with Steve Rita.
Okay.
And we saw this band. They were in New York. One of the opening bands was a band from New York City, and they were pretty heavy. They were called Bellicus. I actually bought one of their CDs because I was like, these dudes are pretty fucking dope. So Steve got in like a fight with this one kid, and he was huge, and Steve like had.
Oh, Steve is like.
He had to like threaten.
Yeah,
he's like 5 foot tall. He had to threaten to stab the dude because the guy got in his face, and I just saw him like put his hand in his pocket and lean forward and say something, and the dude walked away, and I was like, "What did you say to him?" He's like, "I'll fucking stab you." And I was like, okay. So that was how the night started. So then A Day to Remember came out, and the place just went wild. It was like, if you didn't want to be in the pit, you were up against the wall.
Yeah.
So we were up against the wall. The whole place was a pit. And I guess there was these two big groups of people that went together. I guess they each had like a girl in their group that got into a fight with the other girl. So then the guys got into a fight with the other guy. So it was like a 10-person like brawl.
Jesus.
So
Classic
they got broken up. The girls got separated, and I guess like each other kept them away. And someone like smashed up the bathroom. So like A Day to Remember, I guess, was like getting a little annoyed at like how like insane the place was getting. And apparently it was right before the big breakdown in Heartless, one of their like heavier songs off their first album. The place started going like ape shit, I guess, at the time I didn't really know them, so I didn't know the song, but it was, I guess, right before the lead up to it. Everybody just started going wild, and then they literally just were like, the two groups of people got into another giant fight, and A Day to Remember just stopped, and they were like, we're out of here, and they just walked off stage. Because they warned us, like, if you guys don't like stop hitting each other, like, we can't play.
Right.
And then me and Steve ended up having to like leave during that whole debacle because there was a girl sitting on the floor behind us, like unconscious.
Oh wow.
And we noticed, and we were like, what the fuck like, she just slumped over like in a coma, and we were like, what is wrong with this girl? Like, we were trying to ask her, like, are you okay? And her friend was by her, and she was like, can you like help me get her out of here? So like we had to like pick her up and like carry her out. Steve had her on like, she was like this,
right.
Like, Steve had her on over one shoulder, her friend had her other shoulder, and I stood next to them, like, because we had to walk through the entire pit,
right? Yeah,
to get to the door, because we were on the opposite side of the exit.
Okay.
So like I walked and like just tried to like block them so they didn't get hit, because this fucking brawl is breaking out. So it was complete chaos. It was absolute chaos.
Wow.
And they're not even that heavy.
They're not that heavy at all. No.
I wanted to go see, like, a week or two later, Beneath the Sky was playing.
Oh, I forgot about those
Yeah.
guys.
I liked a couple songs.
Couple songs. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. But
and I wanted to go, but I couldn't because I was only like a junior or something at the time, and it was like a Tuesday night. My mom was like, I'm not driving you to this fucking venue on a Tuesday night.
That was a weird place, man. Like,
it was a real weird place.
I never went there.
You never went there?
No,
really?
I never went there.
The first time I played there, it was like a metal festival, and it was like my bass player's sister's boyfriend was booking there, and he got us the gig. And he booked us with a whole bunch of fucking metal bands, and we were the only... I think there was another band of kids. Like, it was like young kids who like played before us. And then we played, but like a whole bunch of metal bands like played before that. I had a whole bunch of people from my job, all these people who like wanted to come see us. Luckily, they were metal fans too, but it didn't matter. But like, I was just like, holy fuck! I was like, we are so the odd band out.
Yeah.
At this fucking, it was like an all day festival too. Like, it was one of those all day things.
Yeah.
And like we went on like early evening, so it's like people showed up to have to sit through all this fucking horrible shit.
Probably not even good metal either.
No, most of it wasn't. There was
bad.
like one or two that were okay.
Yeah.
There was a few that I liked, but there was...
It's like one of those shows you gotta apologize. Like, sorry I came to this one. I didn't know they were giving all these other bands.
That was
but
half my stand-up stuff at Scotty's. Was like me apologizing to everybody. Because like all the comics before me just ate shit. Like...
Yeah, gigs like that are weird, man. It's just like, it's like you never know what you're gonna get. Like, the main stage was weird. I wonder when that officially closed.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, it was. That was the closest real venue to West Milford.
That was a legit venue.
Yeah.
Like, because like I said, some pretty, like, Nine Inch Nails played there. Kitty played there. Like it was pretty big. Like, and so like when we got to, oh wow, we're playing there.
Yeah.
And like, It's part of that. I admit, like, it was a rat hole in a lot of ways, but like it was.
But it was our.
It drew a crowd though.
No, it did.
If you get a crowd, it's a good venue. You
I
know?
just remember being in there and just being like, wow, this is actually right here in Ponton. Like, I was like, wow, that's really crazy. I'm really surprised it lasted as long as it did in a lot of ways.
Yeah, because they were getting fought like left and right.
Left and right for a long time. But like, yeah, that happened to us all the time. It's like we'd either be mismatched or just like, but like I said, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It's weird. It's like sometimes like a lighter fire under your ass. It's like, I don't care. I'm gonna go fucking blow these people away. Yeah. And they're gonna hate it, and I don't care. It's like, or it's like we're the odd people out, and that's cool. It's like sometimes that works. It's weird like that. I wonder if it's like that. I guess comedy could be kind of like that too in a certain way.
It's not really genres too much. There's
little
styles, but it's hard to mix that many styles. It'd be like, there'd be too much of the same style one night. If you had 10 different comedians doing the same style, you'd be like, insult comic number 10. I'm like, oh, I'm tired of the insults.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Well, like every time you go, every comic says the same joke about your dreads.
They always say something. Someone always says something every
somebody.
time.
The only thing that sucks is when it's like 2 comics in a row and the second one like says like almost the same stuff. It's like, did you not listen to the first guy? Like he said the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm always like, hey, I'm here with my Toronto Maple Leafs jersey I got on. They're like, who's this guy? I'm like, I'm this guy. You just do your thing.
Yeah, tell your
Don't worry about me. I always look like this.
This is just who I am. It's cool. Don't worry.
But I mean, I always felt a little outcasted because like people would get up and make like pro Bernie Sanders jokes and like just that like slight PC culture like friendly like comic, and then I'd get up there and just talk about rape and abortion. And
really?
Like,
see, I would expect the opposite. Like that's interesting. It's like maybe I guess because it's more up and comers that you get. But like I would expect the opposite though. I'd expect more because like the comedy I like is like that. Like I like comedy that's just really raw and just like no PC shit.
And most people want that.
Sure,
stand-up.
that's what I would expect.
Like I don't want to hear about. I don't know. It's tough because like especially with like when you're up and coming, you're young. Sure. So like, you don't really have any real life experience. So making a joke about how great Bernie Sanders is or whatever the fuck the bad setup is like the only thing you know.
Interesting.
Like,
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But like for me, like I just made shit up. Like it just made more sense to me. Like I'm not gonna get up there and talk about like I'm not gonna make jokes about why Bernie Sanders should be president because like I'm 23. Like what do I know? Like instead I'm gonna get up there and like write an actual joke about abortion or like just make jokes about topics.
Yeah, it's like telling somebody why they should vote for something. That's not funny. Like, it's like, you can make jokes about a candidate. I guess you can, it's like, I'm sure Trump is such a big thing for certain kinds of comedians now. But, like, it's like...
I feel like he's one of those things, like, I won't even bring him up.
Yeah,
like,
I totally get that.
Just beating a dead horse at that point.
That's
everybody's ripping jokes left and right.
Yeah, it's too easy. Material writes it fucking self at this point.
You don't have to do anything. It's like, just turn the TV on for 5 minutes. Like, I'm done. Jokes written.
Or just read his tweets.
That's what I mean. It's like, the shit writes itself. But it's like... I don't think people want to hear that when they go to a comedy club.
Well, that's how I always felt. Is like the closest I got was I had my one Bernie Sanders joke, and that was it. And it had nothing to do about politics. It was just a joke about shouting "Feel the burn" at an old Jewish man.
That's a good.
I love that joke.
It was one of my favorite jokes, and like the fact that he's running again like makes it perfect because then I can bring that back up.
That's great. Wow. Yeah, but see, that's good. But like, it's like.
Like, it's not an opinion. Like, I'm just stating, like, you're shouting "Feel the burn" at an old Jewish man. Like, how fucked up is that? Like,
that's good.
Like, have we not thought about this? Like,
that's really good. I like that.
But it was stuff like that. I would just make topic things. Now, with some of the material that I've been, like, accumulating in my phone, that's more life experience because we're getting old as fuck now. And, like, I feel like I've lived, like, a life that's... I've had things in my life happen that I feel like are worth talking about. So, like, I've noticed I've taken a step away from that, like, raunchy, like, offensive material, and I have actual, like, stories and stuff. Like, more story-based, like, silly stuff. Just, like, about getting married and, like, the idea of, like, having kids and stuff like that. Because, like, Denise works with like a lot of older people, and one of the guys she works with has 2 daughters, and the one apparently was going through a phase where she would, when she talked, she would move her vagina like it was a puppet. Like she would make her vagina talk.
I assume she's a little child, right?
A very small child.
Thank you. I know.
Very,
I'm picturing something like 4 years. This isn't funny right here.
like a very small child.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah.
And like, apparently that's like that happens. Like it's not just like apparently you have to deal with your 1-year-old daughter using her vagina like a puppet.
Okay.
So like it's one of those things. Like I'm like we're on the fence about the idea of having kids.
Sure.
Like sometimes I'm like, yeah, I could go for a kid. Like that's kind of
So and
then you hear something like that, and you're like, I'm not ready for this.
Well, my thing is like, I'm like, I don't know if I can parent that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like I can laugh at it, like it's hysterical, but like I don't know if I can get her to stop doing that without making her like anal. Like like in the future, obviously not now, but. Because there's certain ways you have to be able to like handle situations,
sure.
And if you don't and you fuck it up, you're gonna know when they get all fucked up as like an adult. So like,
yeah.
So like the topics more lean towards like stuff like that, like either things that have happened to me or like my fears of the future.
Right. Well, I think that makes sense, and yeah, exactly. It's like I've heard other like famous comedians talk about that too. It's like. It's like, yeah, it's like when you're starting out, you have a specific... Even Rogan talks about this. He's like, yeah, I was super dirty when I was coming up, and, like, that's what I knew, because I was a horny fucking 20-something-year-old. But now, like you said, you have to live life a bit, and then when you do that, you actually have stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, that's not just the... I don't want to say cliche, but, like, just, like, the run-of-the-mill, you know. That's a good point. The idea of having kids frightens the shit out of me.
And I feel like it should.
Yeah, no, it definitely
should.
Definitely should, but it's like I do not think it's for me. It's like the whole thing just creeps me the fuck out.
Something you don't get prepared for in life. Like you don't really ever get a class when you're growing up or any time in your life. It's like, hey, if you have a kid, this is what you might do. You don't really know until you have one. You're like, I guess we're gonna kind of wing it right now. And you get different advice from 20 other people who all raise children totally different. Now you're like, I don't know what to do because I'm getting all these different things from 20 different people.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. It's like it's the one thing you think there should be like stuff like to train you for, and there really isn't.
Like passive training, not just like go to a class. Like just there should be constant passive training how to raise a child, but it's never that. So you get raised and then you kind of just chilling.
It's like,
you're like, oh, I got to do that now. I'm not ready for that. You know.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things you pick the things that you didn't like growing up.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's definitely a weird, the whole idea it's a good point. Yeah, it's like when you're a kid, you pick the things that you don't like. Huh. Yeah,
like I was always really like my dad never hit us, but he was just that very stern alpha male presence. And so he frightened me as a child. So like if I'm an adult, like I'm gonna be so conscious of like
not
my anger problem and like how I react to situations in front of my kid, and like just so they don't have to grow up to be like I don't want them to be afraid of me.
Sure.
Because that was something that I had, and like I said, he never hit me. It was just that presence.
Sure.
Like I saw him lose his shit all the time.
Well, I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
It's like this is what I didn't like. I'm gonna make sure I don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah.
Is learn from your parents' fuck ups.
Yeah.
It's either you become a totally different person or become the same person is what ends up happening a lot too. You're the same person, like, oh my god, that's the same person. You're just a little one.
I think it depends on how self-aware you are of like your own flaws, because like I said, like I grew up like watching my dad lose his shit. Like somebody sideswiped us one time and like hit our mirror, and we both pulled over, and my dad got out and walked up to the dude's mirror and was punching it because he was screaming, "Get the fuck out of your car!" and he was hitting the window. My dad, if that guy got out, my dad would have killed him. And he didn't. He was like, he held up a cell phone. He's like, I'm calling like the cops. And my dad was like, good, like I don't care. Like you hit me, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you now. So like because of like growing up seeing that, I'm always like so conscious of like anger,
right?
Because like I like you see that and you're like, oh, that's half of me. Like I have that somewhere.
Right,
in me.
that's in me. Right.
And then you get to a point one day where you lose your shit and you just hit somebody and you're like, fuck, that is a part of me. So then like you just have to do everything you can to not be that person. But you end up being that person anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Weird.
It's like
it's
a
a
losing
weird
battle.
Yeah, it's weird. The whole idea of it just like, whoa, it's like, I don't even, it's like, it's so much, like, the way I look at it, it's just like, I don't even know who I am in certain respects. How am I going to help somebody else figure out who they are? It's like, that's where it's like, but then you hear these people, oh, it's the best thing that ever happened to me, rah, rah, rah. And it's like, I don't know if I be.
I always find it more amazing. The more we take time out, like, a lot of people have children in their 30s now.
Yeah.
A lot of people have kids at like 19, 20, not that long ago.
Younger.
Yeah, and younger. So like, how did they handle it? I can't even, I don't think I can even handle it now. Being 30, I'm like, they're 20 years old and they have a kid that's 10 already at my age. I'm like, how do you pull that off? I couldn't handle that last 10 years of my life. It's really...
I think it's just, they just do it.
They're a different type of people, though.
It is,
so,
and
yeah.
this is how we're dealing with it. It's like, yeah, it's like, I don't know how to put that into, like, the construct of anything. It's like, yeah, it just seems so alien to me.
I feel like they lived that portion of their life at a different time. They're younger, they lived it, but then they hit 38. The kid's 18 if they had one at 20.
Yeah,
and now they're like, oh, we're free again. Kid's done. Now I'm like, I'm 38. You know, I'm 38.
That's the time.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, if we have a kid now in 8 years, when we're 38, they're going to be 8. So then we still have like...
Yeah, we still have a lot. So by the time they're in college, we're about 50. It's like, kind of running out of the fun years.
Well, yeah, no, it's weird. I talked to my mother about this like recently. She was like, yeah, I was like, pretty much your age when I had you. And it's like, or even when I had your sister or something like that. Yeah, she was in her 30s, like, and I was just like, whoa, it's weird to think about. That it's like, imagine me now, like, having a kid. It's like, no fucking way.
No thanks.
Like just the whole idea just seems crazy to me. But it's just one of those, life is weird, man. It's like, but I get that. You need to have, even with songwriting, it's like, life experience helps. Like, in terms of just, like, getting that, like I said, you think you have stuff to write about when you're a teen, and you do, but it's like the stuff that you write about when you're older is much different, and you can get a whole different side of things. So it's, I think the journey definitely informs the work. Definitely. I'm sure comedy's the same way.
Yeah, you can usually see in like a band's like later work, lyrically they get like a little, you can see like changes and everything.
Oh, sure. And some bands, like, it depends though, because like some bands I know, I really liked it when they were younger, and like they got older, took themselves a little too serious.
Yeah.
And
you
know
guys
what I mean?
shitting on the Devil Wears Prada?
I
I listened to that. I was so disappointed
yeah,
to hear you guys left. I was like, no, I like that
That's
new
the first
album
time.
so much.
I don't think it sounds very good. I don't really like how, I think you record the clean stuff well. Anytime it does dirty guitars, it gets heavy. I think you did a terrible job.
Well, here's the
recording
thing. I don't think they had a good night. Like, I think they were having a bad night.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, the singer, like, the
screamer
was having a bad night for sure. Like, he was not, like, I thought the guy who was doing the clean stuff sounded great. He sounded great.
I didn't think he sounded good.
Yeah, see, you didn't think so.
Because he even hit the songs, he sing really high. That's not the guy used to sing in that band, because the other guys sing really high and really well. This guy wasn't singing. It's like singing an
I
octave
thought it was
lower.
the same guy.
He was not singing high, dude.
I don't think he can sing high anymore. I think that's the problem. I don't think that's like.
Oh, that sucks then. That guy was good. He was always on point. That dude never missed a note back there, hitting those highs. I'm like, oh, this guy's fucking killing.
I'm pretty sure it's the same
You
guy.
think it
I'm
is?
pretty sure it's the same guy.
Yeah, it's funny. I was going to bring that up. It just came up because I knew you were a big fan.
Yeah.
And, like, I remember you telling me.
I listened to it, and you guys. The second I heard you guys left, I was like, pfft, and I just turned it off. It's like whatever. It's like I'm triggered. I'm out.
Yeah, it was one of the first shows I ever went to or left before it was over.
My personal theory, was that this guy was very, very upset that Norma G didn't play that.
Oh, we were
one
all-
song.
Oh, everybody's upset. The world should have stopped. The world should be like, whoa, back it up, Norma G. You got to correct that mistake.
No, seriously, we were all very upset.
My
about that.
theory was that you guys were pre-mad before the Devil Wears Prada even got up on stage.
Yeah, you're correct
and
about
then
that.
you took your anger out.
Yeah,
on
but
the
they
Devil
could have
Wears
made me
Prada.
take the anger out on everyone else, not them, and they didn't deliver. So I had to then give it to them. They could have sold me and been like, yo, hit that guy in front of you. It's
it's
a
like,
metal
take your
show. But
anger
no,
out.
it's like, don't do that. Play Zombies EP. Do something better, you know. But
Well, the funny thing about that is that they were originally going to make a Zombies 2. And they all got together, and all the stuff that they had, like, just didn't feel like it clicked. So they threw everything out, and they said, listen, we're going to do something different. If we don't like what we come up with, then we're just not going to do anything. And they were just going to give up as a band.
Oh, wow.
And they ended up making this album. It was something that I guess clicked with them. They felt like it was a direction I guess they wanted to go in.
Interesting.
So, yeah, you almost got your Zombies EP too.
They should have done it. They weren't great. I've seen them a bunch of times. They didn't do it that time for me. I think it was just too many mixes. They have too many albums, and that new stuff's too different. That they kept going from like a heavy song.
Yeah, they were doing a lot
and they hit the clean kind of quiet song, then they hit like something not that heavy, and then they went to like the clean, and they hit like a zombie song. You're like, and then they went back to something clean. It was too much.
Norma was doing something similar.
They did the same thing.
A very retrospective set where they were just kind of like trying to do, because they got a lot of albums. I didn't realize how many records they have, but like they were kind of doing that same thing. They were doing a piece from everything.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
It's fine, but it gets tricky when you have a situation like The Devil Wears Prada where they have albums that they just kick you in the dick. Like that Zombies EP from start to finish.
I like the Zombies EP.
It's heavy, it's fast, and then you have songs like Chemicals off the new album, which is just it's a good song, but it's slow.
But so I think they played that.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
So how do you go from Zombie EP to something that has almost no screaming in it?
It's hard to do. I thought that was messing them up there. I think.
Yeah.
They should have kind of stuck with one or the other. They should have done.
Well, what they
a
should
lot
have
of
done
new
is
stuff, and then kind of closed it. I don't think they should have mixed so much.
No.
Just it was too much of a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, they should have opened. They should have opened with the first song off the album, which is Switchblade, which I'm sure they played. It was a heavy song.
Yeah, that song's not too bad.
And it has like a kind of funky breakdown, like a guitar part during the breakdown.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of cool. They should have opened with that, then just played a couple slow songs like Chemicals and some of the other singles off that album, and then picked it up, like just do Danger Wild Man.
Yeah.
And then just go in from there and just do all your older heavy stuff. But I think it's one of those... And skip Transit Blues. Just skip that whole album. Cause
I don't listen to that album, It was an interesting show. I mean, overall, we got to see Gideon. Gideon kicks ass, so I love me some Gideon.
I've listened to a couple of their songs here and there live.
Oh, they punched it down. They shut that place down. It was like... And then, that was good. They did kind of steal the show.
Norma Jean, not that good.
If Norma Jean played that song, though...
Yeah.
It's all about... Yeah, I
are
think
they good live, though?
Yes, I think they're good live.
Oh, yeah, they put on a decent... They put on a good show.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said,
because as far as like just listening to their music, like it doesn't... Like it's not bad, it just doesn't do it for me.
Well,
I don't think it's like...
I think for them, it's because they have such changeover all the time in personnel, it's really depending on the album you're listening to.
Yeah.
Because it's like I said, for me, I was big on the beginning of their career. Their first two records are what I really like. Now, there's not a single person in that band that is the same as those people. It's a completely new crop of people. So in a way, it's almost a different band.
I don't like when bands do that, when they have like
it's
a
rare that
new
works.
lineup.
But like with no one from the original lineup that I like is in that band anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so that's why I was interested to see what they would do. And I gotta give them credit, they did it well.
Yeah.
You know, the fact, because they played a little bit of the old stuff, and it worked. You know, but
I'm really surprised they didn't play that song.
Everybody was.
The whole planet was surprised.
Even if, like, I was making a record with Mythology, I was telling my engineer, he's a big fan, he saw my Gideon hoodie, he's like, oh, you like that? I was like, yeah. I told him, I just went to see them, and I told him about that show. And I told him that Norma Jean didn't play Memphis. He was like, what? He was like, appalled too. He was like, really? I was like, yeah, man. He's like, oh, I can see why you're annoyed. I'm like, yeah, see? Thank you very much. I'm like,
you should have seen Billy's face.
Oh.
There was so much disappointment in that. Because I was amping. I'm like, dude, get to see Memphis live. He's like, dude, because we always joked about Norma Jean. He's amped, and they're like, oh, we're done. Have a good night. He's just like, you fucking kidding me? Like, just totally just straight faced. I was like, are you serious? And he was just, that was it. It was he was shot.
It was over.
Took him days to recover, probably.
No, it really did.
I would always get a little disappointed whenever I saw The Devil Wears Prada and they did not play that Still Fly cover.
Oh, I forgot about that cover.
I would always get a little upset. That was arguably one of their best songs.
Yeah, it kind of was.
That was a great cover.
It was. It's one of the better things they did. They're a good band. I don't think they're great, but they're a good band. I like them when
they were always good live.
They were always
saw them
good
a couple
live.
times.
Yeah.
In their defense, I don't know who comes up with their touring. They tour with weird bands, and they need to change that. Like, I don't think they mixed well with Gideon.
Well, yeah, no, that was the thing I said about that band. I was like, it was a very weird lineup of
It was kind of a strange lineup, yeah.
Norma Jean, I can kind of
Yeah, I get that slightly, sure.
Yeah.
But, like, I saw them a couple years ago. Their openers were Enter Shikari and Whitechapel.
No, that's not a good
There was
bill.
another band, too, and I can't remember who it was, but it was another weird band.
Yeah.
Where I watched Enter Shikari, and I was like, they're a wild band. If you haven't seen them live, I highly recommend it. They're a great time.
Yeah.
Their newer music is a little iffy on me, but their first, 3 albums were really cool to see live. Whitechapel is Whitechapel.
Yeah.
It just,
You know what you're getting when you read that Whitechapel. I know what I'm getting. Here
and
it
this
is.
was a couple years ago, so this was this is Exile Whitechapel. This wasn't.
That was a while ago, dude. That's the good ass Whitechapel.
That's my point.
That's
It's
10 years ago, dude.
It was This was a while ago. This was probably 7 years ago I saw them.
So they were playing the good shit,
It was
too.
Whitechapel,
Yeah, that's the good Whitechapel, not that new Whitechapel.
No,
with
no.
the new logo and the
this
Hoyt
was,
music
this
now.
was before all that.
The songs,
this
the
was
law.
Whitechapel.
Yeah.
People just murdering each other.
Oh, yeah.
And then The Devil Wears Prada comes out. It's
That's weird.
How do you go from Whitechapel to The Devil Wears Prada? It's
And they were the headliner?
Yeah.
That's weird.
It was interesting to watch as a fan of all three of them.
Yeah.
But
There's too many mismatched people in there.
yeah, exactly. First off, what the fuck is Enter Shikari doing there?
Making money. They're making money.
I was happy to see them because I like them and I think they're fun to see live.
I could see them having a similar crowd to people that like Devil Wears Prada, though.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But people who like Whitechapel are probably not going to Enter Shikari.
No.
People who went to see Whitechapel showed up, beat up all the people that went there to see Enter Shikari,
And then left.
murdered each other during
then-
Whitechapel, and then left.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That makes sense to me.
Who did I see? I think I don't remember who the fuck the headliner was, but the opener was Amur.
Oh, that's a good opener, dude.
So,
I wouldn't want to fight that. It's amping you up too much. You're like,
I can't take this
And
anymore.
the headliner was someone who was not even half as heavy as Amur. I can't remember who it was, but I remember overhearing. I was standing on the outside of the pit, and Amur was just chaos. And then at the second they were done, a bunch of dudes, just those typical big hardcore dudes,
Like got
they
gym
looked
shorts
at
on,
each
yeah.
other and they were like, "Let's get the fuck out of here before the emo faggots show up." And then they all left because it was Silverstein opening. It was not.
Silverstein?
I don't remember who it was, but
Wow,
it was
it's somebody like that.
It was a band I went to go see, so it was probably somewhere along the lines of Census Fail or
Okay.
something like that. But I just remember overhearing that and thinking back on it and they need to fix touring sometimes. There's some real chaos that goes on in there.
yeah. Sometimes it works, but not for bands like that, I don't
Apparently
think.
not.
Like, Coheed always tours with weird people, but it always gets the same people always seem to like Coheed. Even the metalheads like Coheed. You can put them in Dick. You can put Whitechapel and Coheed, they'd be like, everyone's standing kind of jamming. They'd be like, yeah, I like this. Or, between the Barrety man I saw with Whitechapel, Coheed, and that works. A lot of people in that proggy heavy metal.
I would say
it makes
most
They
people
like
just
those.
like Coheed.
Most, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know anybody that doesn't like Coheed. I'm not a huge fan of them.
Well, I know people that don't like them, but they don't like them for stupid reasons. They're like, I don't like Claudio's voice.
No, yeah, that's usually what it is.
It's like,
Which is weird.
get
but-
over it. But yeah, I guess they don't like Rush either. But it's I don't know. It's people.
Well, apparently they're just wrong because they're outnumbered.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's what I mean. It's the people I've met that didn't like them for dumb reasons like that. It wasn't for any I don't know. I don't know how to put it. They're a good band. I like them.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan, but if they were on a lineup, I wouldn't be mad about it.
No, the one and only time I saw them was at Bonner. I just walked past. I knew they were there, and I wasn't going to see them. I walked past their set, and I heard them doing a cover of Red Rain by Peter Gabriel. And I was like, I love Peter Gabriel. I'm such a huge fan. So I stopped. I was like, who the fuck is this? And I was like, oh, that's these people. And then I was like, I bet
You see the big hair. Like,
yeah, and I heard the singles at that point, and like, you know, that's like, because this probably was like 2009, 2010, maybe. So like they were definitely coming up then, and like then I guess when I went home, I heard Good Apollo or something like that, and I was like, oh, that's what these people are about. Okay, I could be a bit.
Billy went to Arizona to see Coheed with Primus and Tool. That was a bill.
That's a great show.
That's a weird.
Yeah, but that was when Coheed was. No one was happy that Coheed was really there. Everyone in the crowd's like this. Billy said it was just like
keeping that.
And Billy was like singing. A couple people were singing. You know, the people from Jersey were there because he was just singing. You know,
I could see the crowd hating them.
Billy said that crowd was so miserable until Tool came on. Even on Primus, they were like this.
No, I believe
and Billy's
that.
like, I don't know what the fuck's going on right now.
I believe that because I've seen Tool twice, and they're fans. I love Tool, but I hate their fans.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can see their fans being a little pretentious.
Oh, just huge dicks. Either the bro people or the people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the snooty, you know, music snobs.
Yeah.
Or the bros, like the, you know, just get all fucked up. You know, it's like every guy you've ever seen wearing a Tool shirt. You know what I mean? It's like, it's weird because like, it's like I love. It's kind of like the Grateful Dead too. It's like I like their music, but I hate their fucking fans.
That's how I feel about Amur.
Oh yeah, that's the whole point. You're supposed to be like that. You're supposed to hate them. You're supposed to hate him. Like when you really truly when you hate Amur and understand like, you know what, I kind of like this, but I just hate that fucking asshole. Then you end up loving them. You're like, I only like them because he's an asshole.
Well, and then that's why I didn't like them like in high school.
I used to hate them.
I was like, that guy's a douche.
Yep.
But now I'm like, he knows he's a douche. This is kind of cool.
Yeah, he does know he's a douche. He is an asshole, dude. The whole band left him. That's why I had to put together another band. No one likes him.
Oh, it's all new members?
It's two dudes from Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza, Josh Travis and the bass player, and then the drummers from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But you had to put a band together. I don't know how he got those guys to agree with it. He must not be that much of a dick, but that's his whole persona.
Or
he's always like
paid decent money and they can deal with it.
Yeah, he's like that. He's like the OG. Him and like the Acacia Strain guys with the flat brim hat, the gym shorts, and the t-shirt or a tank top. That's the people. Like if you ever been mad at those people, blame them your Acacia Strain. I go right to those guys. Like they did that to all of us.
Yeah, and the problem too is that all of those dudes were also fans of Census Fail. So whenever I saw Census
Fail,
it did. But every time I saw Census Fail at Starlands, that's all it was. The pit was just baseball caps and gym shorts. I was like, what the fuck? And they were all assholes. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
That's weird.
I was like,
it's funny that both of those bands, the only people that are original members are the both vocalists. Acacia Strain has been new members all the time, and Amur ever since those guys, they got fill-in guys, but like. It's just funny. That's the OG douchebags that everybody hates them. You know?
The weird thing about Census Fail is, back in the day, the only person that sucked live was the lead singer. I just never.
Still sucks. He never got any better.
No, but what I thought was weird is the most recent time I've seen them. Like they've changed their sound a little bit. Like he doesn't really sing as like high and easily as he did, but he has all new band members around him. Who all suck. So like it, and now his new music supports his vocals a little bit better, and he's not drunk anymore. So like I'm not saying he sounds good because I still don't think he sounds good, but he sounds better. He's one of the few people who's been doing this for a long time and got better.
Yeah.
Usually people they can't scream as well anymore, and like they start blowing their voices out. But what I noticed is I remember the guitar player who looked like David Grohl. He used to be able to support Buddy with like his vocals. He was a pretty good singer, so he could do all the clean stuff, and so it still sounded like decent. Yeah. But he's not in it anymore. So they have another guitar player singing. I could have sung better than that dude. He opened his voice, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, I don't know much about music. I could tell he was singing off key. That's how bad it was. I was like, "Ugh, this is rough."
It was like Miss May-I to me. When Miss May-I first came out, I heard that dude up there, the bass player, singing those cleans, and I'm just like, really? How did they even get it on the album to sound right?
Well, like he was, I
don't know how you fixed that. It was a total train wreck, dude.
It's called auto-tune, my friend.
Oh, they must have used the most auto-tune they ever used in any vocal production.
There's ways to fix anything.
I would have had someone else sing. I would have had the guy recording just sing it. He'd probably sing it better than that guy. Like, anybody. Bring that guy for the next studio over. He'd probably sing this a little better. Like, you can just fill in that instead of auto-tune the shit out. He's so bad.
The Screamer was decent though.
Screamer was alright.
Because he came out and sang at Warped Tour the one time with The Used. because the lead singer of the Used blew his voice out fucking like 10 years ago, so
Yeah.
he can't really scream anymore. And he said he was going to play a box of sharp objects, and I was like, how are you going to manage this? And the screamer from Miss May I came out and killed it. I was like, this is actually really fucking cool. I was like, they should record an album with this guy because it sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
They're playing soon, I think.
Who?
The Used?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on tour.
Yeah. I think Shiz says he's going to see them.
Yeah, Shiz is going.
I was supposed to see them when they were on tour. I'm not a big Hughes guy, but they were on tour with Chevelle at some point. And they were doing back-to-back nights, and they'd switch headliners each night.
Oh,
so I was going to go to that, but they had to cancel for some reason. Some with the venue or something happened. And I'm like, oh, they canceled the show. It was somewhere up by like Poughkeepsie.
I like their first album. They used his first album.
Their first 2 albums are really good. And then after that, it
got a little too...
it's a swing and miss.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it, but it's just like, I don't get it. It's like they got, like, the first record had that little punky vibe to it. That's what I liked. It wasn't straight punk, but it was like, had that little punk edge to it. And
Yeah, I like some. We should cover one of their songs. We put it on our list, man.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah, it's I can't remember. It's Taste of Ink or something.
No, it wasn't that one. It was the other one.
No, it was I guess it's okay. I appeared the day you
Maybe.
You know
Well, that's the same song.
I like that song.
I have it on my list.
That's
dude.
a good one. You know, it's like I remember.
I'm curious
that.
now. I can't think of...
I'll figure it out.
I always forget
But
the names of their songs, but that first record was okay. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
But they're really big, man. A lot of people like them.
Huge.
It's weird. It's like...
But...
They could write a snappy song, I'll give them that.
Yeah, they put out I always get upset because they'll put like a single out.
Bury Myself Alive.
That's it.
Bury Myself Alive. That's a jam. I like that song a lot, yeah.
I like that one.
But they'll put a single out. I'm like, oh, they got it back. Like they found their way back.
Right.
And then I listen to the album. I'm like, oh no, this is so
like,
misleading.
I guess they didn't find their way back.
Their newest album, I don't remember what it was called, but they put a song out called Over and Over Again. And it had the same vibe as like their second album.
Right.
So I was like, oh, finally, like they're figuring it out again. And then I listened to the whole album. I was like, this doesn't do it for me at all.
Yeah.
There's one song I like on that whole album, and it's an acoustic song.
Yeah, well.
It was the opening track, which is I still to this day think it is the weirdest way to open up an album.
That's definitely a weird, especially for a band like that.
Yeah, it should have been a bonus track at the end. Right. I don't know why
or
they
closer.
Yeah. Well, because it's weird because the whole album was about, I guess he had a friend that like committed suicide.
Oh yeah,
or
I remember
something.
reading about that. Yeah.
And the opening track is like something about like if he had a chance to say something to him, this is what he would say.
Okay.
So it's like, and like the opening minute is him talking to somebody recording. Like in the sound booth.
Okay.
So it's like a really like sentimental moment, and like you can hear him like kind of break down a little bit and cry, and then it goes into the track. So it's like the biggest bummer
at the beginning.
Like it should have been like a bonus track at the end. Like you finish the CD on a high note, which they had the single at the end, and then have that like quiet time, and then him talk and go into the acoustic song. But yeah, it was the first time I've ever seen a album open up with
like that.
Depression.
Yeah.
Like just straight depression.
In a lot of ways, that's kind of their MO. So in a way, it kind of makes sense in a weird way. They kind of became like with that second album, with the one with the heart and the noose, whatever album.
Yeah.
That's the second
In
one,
Love
right?
and Death. Yeah, it's the second one.
That was the one that everyone freaked out about. I remember it was like this being like the super emo stuff, to use a terrible word to describe it. But I just... I don't get it, but whatever. If you like it, you like it. Like I said, I like that first record. It's good.
The second record's good, and then they put out one of their most recent one that's good is, I think it's called The Revolution. It's just like about starting a revolution. It's not like emo in like any sense of the word. Yeah, it's actually a really good album.
Oh.
I think it's called The Revolution.
Okay.
But yeah, because he like moved out of the country. He lives in Australia and stuff like that. Yeah. I think his wife is Australian.
Okay.
So he moved out there to live with her and like all this stuff.
Interesting.
But that was an interesting like huge left turn for them.
Yeah, I would say.
Because it was usually like you said, lack of a better word, like emo,
yeah,
and then they're like like revolution, like fuck the government, and you're like this is like catchy though, and like a good album.
Yeah, but they could write a catchy song, man. That's like I said,
they definitely can.
They can write a catchy song. That's what I liked about them. And like I said, they're not bad. Same thing. MCR just announced they're touring again today.
Yeah.
And,
You know who else might be touring too coming up? I saw Scary Kids Scaring Kids.
Yeah,
no, I didn't see that.
They've been touring in California. They have the singer from
Seosin, Cove Reader.
Really?
I like him. Yeah, not the original. Obviously not Andy Green.
Right.
He's the original Seosin, but the other guy.
The Scary Kids Scaring Kids.
Yeah, Scary Kids. Yeah. Andy Green was the original Seosin vocal.
Something Tyler
Oh,
Steven,
the guy who died. Yeah, I don't remember his name.
That was like one of the very few deaths, like heroin overdoses. I was like, oh man, because they broke up like years ago.
Yeah,
10 years ago. It's a long, 10 years. They said they didn't think they'd ever do it again, but they decided, let's try it again. And they only wanted to have him sing it, and he's like, all right. So,
yeah, that was like their ultimate.
I like him. I would see him because I like that vocalist.
They've only been in California, and like I think like over
yeah.
there. I'm really hoping that I even left a comment on like their Instagram. I was like, "You guys come to like the East Coast?" Because that's like my dream to go see them.
They'll probably.
I hope
if they do a tour, they'll do a whole country.
I hope so.
Yeah, that's the thing that the MCR was like teasing everybody because like they played the first 2 shows back were in California, and then they went to Australia, and then like they were really just teasing people.
Aren't they from around here?
Yeah, from Jersey.
They're from Jersey. Yeah,
from Jersey. So like I was telling my friends they were all freaking out, and I was like, "What? They're not?" I was like, "They're just fucking waiting. They want to make money." I'm like, so today they announced that they're playing it in Prudential Center, and they're gonna play at Barclays.
Yeah, they're gonna play Jersey. Imagine that band not playing.
No, that's why I told them like, there's no way.
Everybody would just show up at their house like.
Yeah, what are you guys doing? We're doing a backyard show now. We're here.
All of New Jersey's here, so get your guitars.
Yeah, I mean, I consider going. I mean, I like Danger Days a lot. I really like that album a lot.
I like them all almost.
Yeah,
I like Danger Days a lot.
I like Black Parade.
I like Black Parade.
I don't really beat that.
It's
What's
got
the
a
one
couple
before
good
that?
songs on it. 3 Cheers for Sweet
3 Cheers
Revenge.
was the first one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I missing one in there?
Their very first album.
Well,
I can't remember.
it's
the vampire one.
Yeah, the vampire
So
one.
with 3 Cheers to Black Parade and then...
and then
that's
Danger
it.
Days.
They had...
it's like, you gave me your bullets, I gave you...
Yeah, something like that. I just remember
something like that. Yeah,
had,
people are gonna hate me now. They're like, you don't know this?
No, because we're not...
I don't care. I'm all about the fucking Danger Days, bro.
I'm sorry, they're not that good.
I like Danger Days. I think that.
I brought you my bullets.
That's it.
You bought me your love.
That's it.
It had Honey, this mirror isn't big enough for
right.
this.
Okay. Yeah.
I like Danger Days a lot.
Danger Days.
I mean, I like Black Parade a lot though too, but I like Danger Days a little more.
Danger Days.
They're both really
awesome.
good. Black Parade's recorded really well though. I think there's a lot of good shit in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff in there, like that
there's
Mama
a lot of
song.
background shit going on too.
Cancer Eater and all that weird shit. Yeah.
I love that song.
Yeah.
That's a weird one towards the end, right? Yeah, I like that one.
It's weird. It reminds me of my good friend, and he got me into Danger Days. I was like, this is a good album because I had heard 3 Cheers and I liked like specific songs from that. Record.
Yeah, there's a couple I like.
And I was like, okay, I could deal with this, but then he's like, bro, this is nothing like any of that. It's like, you need to listen to this. It's like David Bowie and Bruce Springsteen. I was like, what? And I was like, just listen to it. I was like, holy fuck, you're right.
That is the one weird thing I will give them credit is every one of their albums, it does not sound like the same band.
No,
I don't think it does.
Not at all.
Even that very first Bullets one.
Yeah, that's very punky.
Yeah.
And then kind of 3 Cheers kind of continued with that, but then it
like
was
mainstream.
Mainstream, a little bit of emo in there, but not too much.
Yeah.
And then like Black Parade is very much the Queen vibe, like not sounding like Queen, but them acting like Queen would if they were that band.
Yeah,
it's weird. So
they were like very theatrical with that.
Theatrical.
It's like
they came out with like the outfits and like they just really created like a whole
Liza Minnelli thing, and just like very theatrical. And then like Danger Days is all about the Bowie and the Bruce and like very much rock oriented.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I even like Conventional Weapons. That was all the EP. That was all the stuff that they. Have you ever heard that? Conventional Weapons. Yeah. So that was all like leftovers from Danger Days. So it's pretty cool. It's like an EP technically, but it's all just like B-sides from Danger Days, and there's some pretty cool shit on there.
I had a song for us to cover from Black Parade though.
Famous
Last Words, the last song.
That's
a great song. That's probably my favorite song on the album. I love that song.
Album. Every time that album comes on, I just see Denise in the corner, like in the passenger seat, just shaking her fist. It is like a shake your fist kind of song, but
I'm considering it's going to be hard to get tickets. They're going on sale on Friday. Everybody
You
in
know
New
what the
Jersey.
price is going to be on those signs?
I tried looking today. They had nothing. So I mean, it's like I said, it's going to be Prudential. So there'll be tiers. That's not a bad place. I actually like that place. I've seen one show there. I saw you two there, and it was a good place for a show of that nature. Like it was like there's not a really bad seat in there because it's a hockey arena. It's not that big, so it's like I would go there to see them. That would be a decent place to see. They're also playing Barclays. Part of me wants to go for Barclays because I know everybody in Jersey is gonna want to go for the fucking that show. But then again, they're probably gonna do something special because it's Jersey. It's one of those weird things.
I would bump into people I know probably.
Oh, you're gonna see
tons of people you know.
Are you kidding me?
Barclays, that doesn't. I don't know the Barclays.
I like
Barclays,
that place.
That's in
That's Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Okay.
Yeah.
They're playing in Philly too.
Yeah.
We were thinking about going to that one maybe.
Yeah, Barclays isn't bad, man. I've been there. I've been every place in that room. I've been up high. I've been mid-level. I've been right up front on the floor. I've been
I didn't
all over
see
the
a concert.
place.
I only saw hockey there. I didn't like hockey there.
Oh, I can see hockey there not being that good. It's too tall.
Yeah.
It's too high.
It's too like walking around the hallways. It's really like classy almost. It's really dark lit. It feels more like you should be going there for music. Then you go to this hockey game. You're like, this is weird.
Yeah, I can
Very
see
weird
that being
vibe.
strange.
It's not like the Devils. You feel like you're in an arena and you're here for hockey. That's
exactly.
like you go out. You feel like you're in a lounge. It's very dark and
Yeah, it is
like,
dark in there.
It's the building is awesome.
Oh yeah.
Like the design of the building is really
great,
cool.
and all the subway lines connect to it directly,
Yeah.
which is awesome. And I saw a bunch of people there. I saw Stevie Wonder there. I saw Pearl Jam there. I saw the Prophets of Rage there. I saw a bunch of people there. It's not a bad room. The sound's good too. But it should be interesting. Yeah, it's in September, I think those shows are.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah.
I'll probably go, but
Wonder who's going to play with them.
Yeah, see, that's going to be the really interesting
If they
thing.
tack on
That's
some
the undercard.
good people, it might be worth it.
I feel like they're not going to though.
They'll have to have another band. It can't just be that.
No, I mean like the band they pick. I feel like is gonna.
It's either going to be really good or really bad.
What they should do is pick. I would just put AFI on that bill and call it a day.
That'd be cool.
AFI is one of the only bands that I listen to that I have not seen live.
They're awesome. I love them live. I don't listen to them that much, but I'm like, if AFI's on a bill, that almost sells me. Like I saw Rise Against with them. They blew Rise Against away. It's like I wouldn't want to play.
I don't
after
listen
them.
to. I haven't listened to any of their new music though.
You don't have to. They kill it live.
You
They
don't
really
have
do. Like you'll be like, shit. These guys practice. They don't move a crowd. They move around a lot. They're very good. That's what they do.
Yeah.
So if they play with them, I'd be like,
That'd be-
man,
that'd
we
be
might have
cool-
to
that'd be
go.
cool, Bill.
Like that'd be a good show.
That'd be a cool bill. That'd be interesting.
The
Yeah,
Used would actually make the most sense.
I could see them wanting to do that. Yeah. But like, I wouldn't care. I mean, it'd be cool, but I don't know. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the undercard for that show will be.
Yeah, that's. I know. I didn't even think about that.
They haven't announced anything.
Yeah.
They didn't say anything today about an undercard.
What if it's with special guest?
Yeah.
You know, they might do something like that
Yeah,
for a long
maybe.
time before they release who it is.
Yeah,
Or
they
they might do
gotta
different people at
figure it
different
out.
venues.
Yeah, it's possible.
But they probably won't.
Yeah, because it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, people are just gonna show up.
Like
for
people
that.
are gonna be like,
Yeah.
it's gonna sell out.
Yeah, for sure.
Every single show is going to
Oh
sell
yeah,
out.
like those
that day too, probably.
guaranteed. Those first two LA shows they sold out almost instantaneously. And that was like their first time back in I don't know how many years. It was interesting watching video from that show. You could see Gerard was very visibly nervous.
They sound good? Or?
They sounded fine. I watched like maybe a few tracks, but like I watched the beginning of the show. You could see he was visibly nervous at the beginning, and then he got into it. But I was like, yeah, because I was like, as a performer, you can feel people out, and I was like, he's nervous.
Yeah.
And then he progressively got more into it. But yeah, I could tell they all kind of were. But yeah, there's been a
Frank
years.
is the only one that's been consistent, the guitar player,
yeah.
because he had. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like Frank Eero and the whatever.
Yeah, and the whatevers, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Gerard did his own album too, which is pretty cool. It was all Britpoppy, which was neat.
He's been writing too. He wrote that fucking The Umbrella Academy.
That's right. Yeah. That was
Which
him.
was actually not a bad show. They made a show of it on, I think it's on Netflix.
They did make a show. I didn't watch the show.
It's not bad.
I didn't read the comics though. Is
I
it
didn't
comics or
I
is
didn't
it
read
like
the
graphic
comics
novel?
either. Graphic novel. It's the same thing. Really,
thing.
it's the same thing.
I don't know the difference. I don't
It's
want to
the
get
same
wrong.
thing.
People be like,
No, it's
oh,
the
you
same
call that a comic? It's a graphic novel.
No, fucking nerds. It's the same
Pretentious,
thing.
exactly. Pretentious.
Fucking nerds.
bullshit.
Everybody reads goddamn comics.
Yeah, it's
Fucking
comic
suck
books.
my dick.
Shut up. Exactly.
It's not like it was in the comic. How about you eat my ass?
Right, exactly.
Because you didn't read the actual comic.
Yeah,
you
just
picked
like
up a
saved
photo.
it.
You read it online
Yeah, it's like
yesterday.
I read one comic. That's a Coheed stuff, Amory Wars. It's the only thing I've ever read. Just because I love Coheed. I'm like, oh, read this. And it makes the music make so much more sense.
That's all I hear, yeah.
I read, I'm like, man, now I understand what they're saying. Like, because sometimes they say words, like, what are they talking about? And they're like, oh, that's what they call those things. That's what they call these things. Like, it makes a lot more sense.
I was thinking about it a while ago. I've listened to AFI, the first, not their first two albums, December Underground and Sing the Sorrow, for years. Don't know any of the words.
You don't need to, dude.
Don't know any of the words. You can't.
They know them for you. Jam it out.
You can't understand what he's saying.
I know.
He's got like the worst lisp I've ever heard.
Well,
in a
he
lead
had
singer.
issues with his voice too. Halfway through his career, he blew his voice out.
I believe it. Singing like that.
He had to relearn to sing and do all those things. So yeah, the middle part of his career, he had some issues, and he's okay now. But apparently that was a thing.
But that is one of the things I find really, really fascinating is lead singers with lisps. I was talking to Denise about this. We were trying to name all the lead singers because he has if you listen to him in interviews, he has a legit lisp.
Yeah,
you can hear it in his singing.
Yeah, there's certain people who have a lisp when they talk and don't when they sing.
Yeah,
and then it's the vice versa. Mm-hmm. Then there's certain people with certain British people. Like when I was a kid, I had no idea that Elton John was British. Because
you usually don't know accents,
but a few people do. David Bowie's one of them. He has an accent when he sings. Sid Barrett was another. He has an accent when he sings. Damon Albarn too. He has an accent when he sings. But a lot of his British, even the Beatles don't really.
No.
It's a lot of famous. It's weird how that happens. It's weird.
I find it amazing that Ozzy can sing but can't talk.
Yeah, he can't even
how can
function.
you sing but can't talk? I don't know what you're saying to me. When you sing, I know exactly what you're saying to me.
Yeah,
it's very weird. That's a weird thing.
Yeah, well, he's a weird being.
Yeah, he's a being. That guy.
The fact he's still around.
Well, he's an X-Men.
Yeah, he has to be.
I had a joke about it because I forget what the whole premise was. But I looked it up. He has some type of mutation in his DNA that actually allows him to break down drugs and alcohol at a faster rate. They took his blood and DNA and did scientists did actual tests on it because they were like, how the fuck are you still alive?
Yeah.
So he's he's a real life X-Men.
Ozzy Osbourne, the X-Men.
The moral of the story is you can learn stuff from dumb stand-ups. Well, that was my whole joke. Is imagine we don't get Wolverine, we don't get Spider-Man, we get Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy.
He's gonna save the day. That should be a cartoon.
Somebody's got to do this immediately. Gerard, where are you? Make a comic. Him and Claudio should team up and make an
Ozzy.
Ozzy Osbourne.
That would be a ridiculous thing.
Imagine that. Be like, yo, talk about the real legit hero, Ozzy.
He's got a cape with an O on it.
Right. He's like, blah, 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 blah.
All the words will just be letters. People will be like, I know what he's saying.
Dwayne was obsessed with Ozzy. That was the other thing last night.
Oh, really?
He was like, can you believe this? He played me clips of him he's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I was like, why? You've never seen this? He always catches on to things later. Yeah. And that's all he kept doing was watching these clips of Ozzy. And I was like, bro, this has been a thing for 10 years. Where have you been?
Yeah.
He's like, it's so funny.
The whole cartoon, every time Ozzy talked, there would just be subtitles at the bottom. No one else would get subtitles.
Sometimes it make no sense, though. It still make no sense, because even the people making I don't know what he's saying.
It's like, I don't know. He just... Yeah. So, we're just this main party podcast. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, Bobby Meeker, everybody.
Bobby Meeker right here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, we're going to be back.
Do some stand-up, dude. We'll get the crew out there.
Yeah, we'll come.
I have to.
We'll be there.
Something out.
Scotty's, dude.
Yeah, they do the Thursday night shit, and I have off Friday, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll have to do that. Maybe I'll do that. They do it at the end of the month, so they just had it. So maybe I'll do it next month.
All right. Well, let us know. We'll promo the shit out of it.
Hell yeah.
Because the only time I ever like actually sit down and write stuff is when I like email him. I'm like, hey, I'm doing this in 2 weeks, and then I'm like, oh fuck, I need new material. Because like, the same people come out every time, so I feel like I can't just do the same set over again.
Yeah.
So like it makes me like sit down because I have a deadline. I'm like, I have to have this done for this day. So then I actually start like writing.
Yeah.
It's the only time. But
right on. Well, let us know. We'll promo the shit out of it.
Hell yeah.
Sounds good.
And come see Mange Party on February 1st.
February 1st, everybody, was Bogey's Sports Bar in Clifton.
We'll see if this gets up before that show. Hopefully we'll see. But yeah, Mange Party Podcast episode 6, we out. Thanks, Bobby. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Keep it, man.
Peace.
Peace.